So welcome to one and all, and good afternoon, and thank you for joining in Coffee and Childhood. It's our weekly panel discussion or a get together with people who are working in the ecosystem, which influences or has its direct impact on the children's ecosystem. I have a fantastic guest here with me today, and for the people who've tuned in for the first time. Kids OK Please is India's largest experiential club for kids. And we run a website through which parents can optimize their time and their experience. There are a lot of things that we try and do. And one of them is to ensure that we have the right, social impact created for children and for parents across. I have three wonderful guests with me today, and this is an extension of our topic from last time that we had, especially in the given month that we are in. Firstly, a very warm welcome to our three panelists, Lalita ma'am, Hinal, Asha ma'am, and my apologies to keep you waiting. You know how the technology is. We had to just get this done live, so our team is working hard to get that in place. Well. For the people who've tuned in on Zoom, welcome. And for the people who are watching us live on Facebook, you can catch this episode again on our YouTube channel later. I'm gonna quickly, tell the audience out here that why today's topic is so special and why we decided to have a second round of what we are doing on the same topic because we felt that this is the kind of impact and the kind of awareness which is required for the kind of projects that we are doing and why inclusivity and early intervention is an important aspect that one should focus on. I believe that there is some impact in the background. My apologies to all the people who are listening in. We'll try and cut out all the background noise which is there. So for the people who are here because of the guests, but also want to know what we're going to be discussing at large, it's about special children, inclusiveness in society and early intervention. And I have three guests with me who come with decent amount of experience to tell you and guide you about what they have seen firsthand, what they are doing, and how they are influencing and impacting this particular subject or the mission which is there in their own way. I'm gonna start by introducing our guests now. Let me begin with Miss Asha Palani Kumar. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to quickly read out for our guests, what work she's done and, everything about her. So she's a consultant in speech and language pathology, specializing in inclusive education and augmentative and alternative communication. She's currently associated with Vidyasagar Chennai, Muskan in Jaipur, Muskan in Mumbai. Yes, Umang in Jaipur. Her work involves mainly assessment and rehabilitation planning for children with multiple disabilities, training parents, families, and staff. We've been working in the she's been working in the field of disability and rehabilitation for over 40 years now. She was initially involved in the education of children with cerebral palsy, autism, hearing and speech impairment, and then added on inclusive education and vocational training for the employment of adults with multiple disabilities. She's at present continuing this work with such special children and also training parents, teachers, and other professionals in this field. She currently is consulting 3 centers in Mumbai and in Chennai and in Jaipur. Her lifelong endeavor has been to create and increase awareness amongst people. Just to tell you more about the kind of organization she's participated with or she's been involved with, she did her graduation in Speech and Language Pathology from Bombay University back in 1975. She started her career with the Spastic Society of India, Mumbai, which is the pioneering institution in India, providing education and therapy under one roof. Now, which is called ADAPT. This center has created the blueprint for most present special schools as of today. Um, having moved to Chennai back in 1980, she co-founded Vidyasagar, which is again a renowned institution. Um, uh, so, um, and 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 over a period of time, when she moved to Delhi in 1991 with her husband, she continued her work with the Spastic Society of the Northern India, and she continues to be a consultant with a lot of schools around. So I can go on and on about the illustrious career that she's had, and she continues to influence so many people who are there. A very warm welcome, ma'am. I think it's an honor to have been. I had an opportunity to interact with her yesterday, and I'm sure that you all are going to enjoy listening to her, what she has to say today. So I think with that, I would want to move on to our next guest, Lalita Nagarajan. She presently heads the customer success team for Avaz, which is primarily out of Bangalore. She's been working with the company for the last 10 years, and very interesting how the story is, which she narrated to me, that how she got associated with, and I'll let her do the talking part of it. But I know that right from inception, she's been involved with it. She's worked closely with several parents, speech therapists, and special educators in this area of communication for children with speech difficulties. She serves as the primary interface between the customer and the product with Avaz, ensuring the voice of the customer reaches and reflects in their product. By education, she's an engineer from Bangalore University, after which she has been working in the software industry. A very warm welcome.
Thank you so much for having me here.
and again, vouch that my conversation with you yesterday was absolutely fabulous, and I want the audiences to hear more about the work that has gone behind. And now moving on to a third guest, very important, someone who's been involved with the organization that has brought this entire panel together, the Nestlers Club. So we have Hinal Vora here.
Hi.
She's a special educator and is involved in teaching children and across disabilities. She holds a BSc in Human Development and a B.Ed in Special Education from SNDT Women's University, and where she specializes in intellectual disability. She firmly believes that every student has the capability to learn and become independent. She has interned and taught lessons at many schools in Mumbai, such as Mount Litera and Aditya Mumbai. Following a passion for empowering students with learning difficulties, she joined the Gateway School of Mumbai. She taught language, science and humanities, and information and communication technology to the lower and middle school out there at different times over a 3-year journey. She was a homeroom teacher where she learned how to identify the needs of students, formulate an individual education plan for students. Alternatively, she's also worked with a non-profit organization, Story of Makers, a space to nurture young minds with the Library of Everything, which emphasizes early age exposure through experiential learning. Something that we also do, and we want to take it forward in the larger way with her. With her experience, she believes that early intervention education can change a child's development path and improve outcomes for children, family, and communities around them. Currently, she's a co-founder with the Nestlers Club. This opportunity is a step forward for her to serve very young children with diverse needs that could make a crucial difference in their lives through the through the time-tested Montessori way of learning. So a very warm welcome to you as well, Hina. I know that my words or how I would have described my panelists is not going to be enough, but I'd recommend everyone who's watching today or is going to watch in future, please look up these wonderful women and see what kind of work they're doing, and you should become a part of the mission and the cause that they're working for very hard. With that, a brief introduction that I could give. I'd like to start by asking each of y'all to tell our audience here today um, uh, what prompted you to work in this part of the children's ecosystem. How did you get associated with your current organization? And briefly, if you could tell us, how's the journey been? I know it's not going to be brief enough and we cannot put it into words, but I'm sure the audiences want to hear from you, what it's like. So I'll start with Asha ma'am. If you could, tell us what's been the journey like, and tell our audiences that, what drives you, and what is, your career been like, and how close are you to the topic?
My God, that's a lot. Okay. Actually, I just got into this field as a speech pathologist. Just as I graduated, one of my seniors said, there's a job going in the Spastic Society of India. Would you like to try it out? And the minute I walked in there and thought what I could use my education and my potential, it was here. And I didn't think of it like it was a special school or they were special children, because I think they were just students for me. And all I had to do was to find a way to make them communicate. And that's been my goal right through. So I never found any child, whether, who are considered normal or who have special needs or children with, learning problems. They all had potential. It's just that we have the knowledge. We have studied how to get that potential out of them. They all have abilities, and how to take advantage of that ability and let them perform or be the contributing member in a society which is so discriminative. We have racism, we have this, we have handled disability, and we have different names, don't call them disabled, call them this, call them that. But there was this child who couldn't hear. He said, why are you calling me hearing impaired? I am deaf. Just call me deaf. It's the way you say deaf. If you're saying hearing impaired with, with a discomfort in your voice or some contempt in your voice, so the whole purpose of that euphemism is lost. So, but if you say, oh, this person is deaf with respect, that makes all the difference. So I feel that all children are the same and everyone can learn. In the beginning, I used to be very emotionally involved with all the children I was dealing with, because I could see their problems and their strife and their emotional hang-ups and, all that difficulty that they had to go through. But then if we have the ability to give strength to them through our knowledge, I think that is most important. And I think that's what I've been doing all along. And I share my knowledge with my parents, with other professionals. And I don't keep my knowledge locked up and ask money to release whatever little I know. I think knowledge is something that we have all gained, and it's something that you have to share. It's not something to exploit and make money on, which is what I'm finding very difficult to face these days, with what's happening. But I think if we have the knowledge to help others, be it a child, be it the parent, and I think parents have been my biggest strength. They have been my supporters, and they have been the ones who have taken forward all these ideas. I'm not saying that the professionals are not doing it, but very little is expected from parents. They think, oh, parents cannot do it. How will they do it? They don't have money. They don't know. They're not educated. But they are your strength. I feel that parents have the ones who have supported me most in taking all this knowledge and awareness forward. I think this is just a little bit of what I think I should say about myself. I'm more a doer than a talker. So I like to think rather than, tell everybody I've done this and this. I've done a lot of work. And I've worked with the government as well. So I know how it is. I've worked with school principals. I know how difficult it is. And I see their side of the problem too. So we have to look at all these things, when we're doing something. If you want to take something forward, we have to see who has a problem where, and then can we both all together solve this problem. It's not they on one side and I'm sitting on one side. We all have to sit together and work out the solution to the problem. Okay, is that enough? I think I don't want to take too much of your time. So I think let the others also speak. Okay?
Sorry. I'm saying that we're happy that you're sharing your experiences or some things that you've seen. So absolutely, this entire forum is for you to express yourself and talk with.
I can give, because I don't want to bore the others, because we have a lot of these life experiences to talk about, And one of the things, can I share this now? Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah. So the thing is that when I was working in Delhi, there was one father who was very difficult. So, and he had a daughter, it was acquired dysphasia. She had a stroke and then she lost her speech and she had dyspraxia. So, and whenever he came, no staff member wanted to interact with him, because he was so pushy. And he just said, no, my daughter will learn. She was in the 5th standard when she got the stroke. So she lost her language. She had expressive aphasia and dyspraxia, which means that she couldn't express herself even if she wanted to. But whenever this father came, everyone would run and hide. And then they say, please ask Asha ma'am, she will come and handle you. And then they would throw me in the den. So, but what I found was that he was so fond of he had a real obsession for his young daughter, because, she was a bright little girl in the 5th standard doing so well. And then suddenly, she only remembered whatever she had learned up to 5th standard, that much of class work or whatever she did. Beyond that, she couldn't do. She couldn't speak. She couldn't say anything. So you can understand the frustration of the father. He used to come to us every 6 months. And he knew that nothing was going to happen. He knew that his daughter wouldn't progress. But he just wanted some confirmation. Yes, she can function, to the best of her ability. And what can we do to help her to function? So that's where we had to do. We are just looking at the father who was so irritating and, such a nuisance. The mother was very quiet. They're from Delhi, North India. And so the problem is, where do we start? Even we didn't know where to start, because she was only regressed. I mean, she only remembered that part, which is very strange. Life throws all these googlies at you. So what we do is we make her functional. We have to explain to the father, no, now, as you can see, for 3 years, she's not progressed. Let her have what she has, but make her life more interesting and see what more she can do rather than what she can't do. So that's where we started, and a lot of counseling with the parents, especially with the father. He was so obsessed. And if you told him to do one thing, he would do that same thing about 100 times, hoping that there will be some change in his daughter. So we had to explain that there is going to be some change. She'll be at least, and your goals for her, the ambitions you had for her, you will have to tone it down. Because what she could have done and what she can do right now are two different things. So we also have to show them the reality. We can't just say, oh no, 10 saal, I know some people say, oh, 2 saal mein bolne lagegi, she'll do this, she'll do that. That doesn't happen. But how to break this news to them is in a very practical way, by showing what this child is able to do. She was able to do number sequence. She was able to do things like with augmented communication, with flashcards. She could put words together with flashcards. So let's use that. If she cannot speak, don't force her. Because the more you force, the more the child is not able to perform. And then she feels totally lost. And then you have emotional issues. So we have to look at the child holistically. We use this term very often, holistic approach. Don't just look at one part of the child. Look at her social interaction. Look at her emotional makeup. Look at her intellectual ability. Look at her physical ability. Look at every part of that person. Look at the family dynamics. Look at the family support system. You have to look at so many different things. It's just one child, but we all take these things for granted. So that's how I've learned to become holistic, but also look at each area individually and bring it all together. So it's like a breaking it up and bringing it up gradually and slowly, and then showing through your activity, through what you can do with this child, prove it practically, yes, it can be done. And then you see, and then they see the positive aspect of it. And it's not a desperate situation. There is a step forward, but again, start with baby steps. So we do that. And even when we do our assessment, we have to be very precise. I know I work with so many youngsters and I see them doing assessments. Let me tell you, this is very strange. I work with these children and we have a team. We have an interdisciplinary team, physiotherapist, speech therapist, occupational therapist, and a special educator. We assess a child together. Now, when I assess the children, I mean, they're doing this Viva exam and I've seen students, junior speech therapists who are assessing a child. What they do is a child is sitting in front of them, the parent is there, and you're sitting with this assessment form. And what they do, they ask questions to the parent. What is child's name? What does the child do? What does he say? They don't look at the child. The child is sitting in front of you. That child is giving all the information you need, but you are not looking at the right thing. You're
I
taking
think
an easy way out,
I
right?
think looking in the wrong direction, and you know what you spoke of, that methods, what's the right
Yeah.
method and how to communicate it.
Yes.
I think very interesting what you mentioned, ma'am, about
Yes.
this particular experience, that you know about how the father was trying to ensure that this moves in a certain direction. I have Lalita ma'am here. Sorry, I'm just going to
Yeah.
move on to our next guest, which is Lalita ma'am from Avaz. And very interestingly, the project that they've taken up, they've used technology, you know, to really create the right environment and work as a support tool for the parents to really create that, you know, early intervention and help them. So, ma'am, Lalita ma'am, if you could, you know, tell us about what's been your involvement and what is this, you know, entire the journey of Avaz, or what is Avaz trying to do for our audiences, before I talk to Nestler's Club also. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, hi. Thanks for having me here. So Avaz actually started about maybe 10, 11 years ago, 12 years ago. I've been with them for 10 years. So it's literally grown from, it was started originally as a tool for helping children with cerebral palsy be able to communicate. So it was kind of a hardware device that was created, and we had made it ourselves in-house, and it was kind of a bulky thing that kids used to carry around. But of course, it was pretty expensive at that point because there was no iPads. It was a pre-iPad era or the pre-tablet
I
era.
had one like that big box.
Yeah, it was huge.
One of the first ones, yes.
Correct.
Use
Wow.
that.
Yeah, so that's what we had taken to schools, and as we took it to schools, we got a lot of feedback saying it'll be useful even for children with autism. So why not introduce pictures? So it first started with text, and then we gradually introduced pictures to it. And by then, the iPads and the Android tablets had come out. So even before the iPads, actually, we had imported tablets from France, I think, tablets, and we had loaded it. I mean, Android-based tablets, which we had started. But of course, it was pretty expensive with hardware and software bundled as one product. Upwards of 30,000, if I'm right, 35,000. So it was pretty expensive 10 years ago. And besides, it wasn't very well known. Even the term autism wasn't very well known. So awareness was a huge issue that we grappled with. But once the iPad came, then we put it out on the App Store, and then it kind of goes international. So we saw many downloads. What we saw in the first 3 months of putting the app out on the App Store was much more than what we had seen in the last 3 years, possibly. So that's how it kind of grew. And initially, though, we had a lot of issues with India because as I said, awareness was an issue, and parents and educators were not very sure of how, what is AAC. So what AVA stands for is, it's a tool for augmentative and alternative communication, like what Asha was mentioning. This is for children who cannot speak. So this includes children with autism, cerebral palsy, Rett syndrome, Down syndrome, Asperger's. There's a whole host of, and other genetic disorders, even adults with apraxia, stroke, traumatic brain injury. A lot of times where they are not able to, even laryngectomy, where they're not able to speak, or, you know, there is no voice output, there's no speech that's possible. So it's useful for all of them. And because at that point, I mean, one is the awareness was extremely low, and we've never had role models, despite Avaz being the first of its kind as an augmentative and alternative tool for communication. So as she said, speech is only one of the methods of communication, but the bigger picture, keeping that in mind, however you wish to communicate, there should be an option. So it's like what you call as a right to communicate. That's a very important part. So we certainly looked at how we can empower children to be able to express themselves through any which way. So that included pictures. So Avaz is an app which allows you to express through pictures, and the pictures are converted to text. So if a child wants to say, I want apple, then he just goes and points to the pictures on Avas to say, I want an apple. So 3 different pictures, and then they're strung together in the box and it speaks it out aloud, which becomes Avas, that is the child's voice. So having brought this in as a product on the iPad, since the people in India were like, they didn't have enough role models to see how this has actually happened and how it has benefited people. They were very skeptical about including technology into the child's life, and rightfully so. Whereas in the Western world, they've seen the first AAC device, as it's called, an Augmentative and Alternative Communication System, was available in the late 70s. So we can see that we are decades behind that. And despite that being the case in India, we still didn't have takers for many, many years. It's only in the recent past that awareness has been growing, and we've also been trying our best to reach out to parents and educate them about what augmentative communication can do. So there are a lot of myths that are surrounding them because they feel that it'll harm their child. They feel that speech will not develop. But as a result, I mean, that's why we insist on early intervention, because the more you allow the child to actually hold back their ability to express themselves, because they're not able to express themselves. And we think just because they can't speak, they have nothing to say, which is not the case. So they have so much to say in their heads. There's so much that is there for them to share with the rest. Like you and I, we have a lot to share. So do they. And if we don't provide them a channel to express that, then they kind of start internalizing or keeping it inside, that they're not able to express themselves. And that results in a regression in a lot of areas. So one is socially, they're not able to have any kind of social engagement with anybody else. So socially, they're excluded. People start taking decisions on their behalf. So their self-esteem goes down. They become less confident of themselves. This results in behavior issues because it has a lot of frustration. It leads to a lot of frustration and temper tantrums, behavior issues in the long term. Also, they are not able to have opportunities in terms of education because they are turned down to say, we don't have enough staff in our schools, and we don't have the right support infrastructure. We don't have the right methods to teach children with special education. So they are turned down. Their opportunities are limited. Even at workplaces, opportunities are limited. So as a result, cognitively, behaviorally, socially, emotionally is the most important, because they do feel, they do have a low self-esteem because of others taking decisions on their behalf, others taking over their lives. And it's kind of a learned helplessness that they actually acquire. So that's where we do actively insist on early intervention in all of these cases.
Yeah, I mean, I was very surprised to know about the lack of infrastructure and facilities available in every possible way. And now with the digital help, at least we've cut down time for someone to go from one place to another and keep interacting for getting that kind of information. So fabulous. And I'm also looking forward to you probably sharing that video that we spoke about yesterday, that one story, if that's a possibility. I'll come back to that. I'll quickly ask Hinal to talk about the Nestlers Club. What is it, and how how you're associated with such wonderful professionals within the industry. Tell us something about the Nestlers Club.
Yes. So I'll just begin with my journey. Myself being a dyscalculic was in 2007 when I got the diagnosis done. And as there was no awareness at that time, it was very frustrating because I didn't know what is happening with me. My parents didn't know what was happening. It was very frustrating, but slowly the awareness developed. And then I was also thinking, what if this was recognized much before? I could have learned in a different way. I could have processed things in a different way, and it wouldn't be so hard for me the way it was then. So from there it came, I want to teach special kids. Not only that, but also when I went on studying further, like I did my BSc in Human Development, I did B.Ed in Special Education. That's how I developed more and more interest. And then I figured out, this is something that has happened with me also. Might not be that severe, but yes, it was something till a point. So that's how I developed the passion to teach special children. And from there came the will to work in the field of special education and early intervention. And that's how I got into the Nestlers Club. And I'm very passionate about Nestlers Club. So what we do at Nestlers Club is we take one-on-one sessions with the child online, and our mission is to cater to as many special children as possible. We are also going to begin home visits, because we feel that home visits, teaching the child face to face, is one of the best methods. And given that COVID and the lockdown, we have to do this thing, like we have to take online classes like that. But yes, we are also going to do home visits. And the important part is we are going to teach children in a Montessori way, which also blends very well with special children, which involves using concrete materials, going from using concrete materials and then going to the abstract. So it's a lot of helpful over there for special children. And it consists of different activities that you do in your daily life, like eating, picking up a spoon, transferring things from one place to another. So also children who have developmental delays with their fine motor skills or gross motor skills, it's very beneficial for them also. And there are a lot of sensory activities also. As you know, in special education, we hear that some children are sensitive to some of their senses, like auditory, visual, touch. They are very sensitive to those. So Montessori also helps in that way, where there are different materials for sensory stimulation also. So yes, that is our goal.
Well,
Yes.
my goal is to ensure that Kids OK Please can participate with each of your individual missions, and support in the best way possible as a medium. And here we had one of the audience members requesting that they want to be a part of Nestlers Club. So you can get in touch with our panelists post the session, and you can follow their respective handles on Facebook and Instagram, and reach out to them through their personal websites. And we'll be happy that this entire network keeps growing. But fabulous that you could, you all have started this. I wanna quickly throw open a larger question. Yes, Ritu, my panelists will respond to you. We'll keep all the questions and personal questions for later. Thank you so much. One of the audience members had just put it on chat. Thank you. I want to ask the three of you all, what are the primary challenges? Now I'll tell the audience at large and you all as well. I feel the society is designed to support someone who is already capable or has the resources. The society is not designed, or the society is not, aware that they are neglecting a part of the family, okay, in a very big way, by not providing the right real estate design around us, whether it's open spaces or basic ramps to enter and exit buildings. Not just for special kids, but for seniors, senior living, and other put together. Secondly, we are not sensitive about what we say. We don't realize what we are talking in our environment, which may affect the child in a very, very different way, which may affect a person. Imagine, a person getting affected by, because we hear that someone uses foul language or said something bad about you, how emotionally drained you get. Now imagine a child hearing every day what is wrong with that child. Imagine what that child is growing up with. So we're not careful about what we say. Third is, we tend to neglect it and we stay away from taking help. As a society, we want to keep problems to ourselves. If we are ill, we're not going to go to the doctor. We're not going to tell our family. If we need help, we never talk about it. If our child needs help, we'll be like, how can we tell the world that there's some problem with my child? That's how we are designed. And I think primarily for all the people who are watching here, and the people who are gonna, if you have people around you who have special children within their families or people around you, please change the narrative. Please be a little more sensitive about it. So my question to the three of you all is, do you see that our respective governments and society design is lacking something and is not taking cognizance about it? And if you would want to quickly share your thought that what can change, this is something that needs to change, something that one thing, if it could change and someone was hearing it, what is that one thing? I'll ask Lalita ma'am to go first. I'll take Asha ma'am after that. Yes, ma'am. You're on mute. That's
Sorry,
one
thanks.
thing that should change because it's a problem. This design is a problem. Yes.
Yeah, see, as far as our kids are concerned, which is for, you know, children who cannot speak, it would be great if the government can actually introduce schemes that would benefit them, because one is the hardware and one is the software. The two aspects are pretty expensive. It works out quite expensive for a parent and even for schools, because schools say that they have you know, limited funds. So if the government can introduce some schemes that would support them for purchase of hardware and for software, that would be great. And also, of course, training teachers and you know, ensuring that the distribution is there across the country, across you know, from the lowest level onwards, from early intervention stages. So that would be wonderful. And of course, providing barrier-free access, which I think in the NEP, the education policy that's coming up, they are looking at these barrier-free and accessible schools and classrooms and all of that. And of course, they're also looking at teachers who will be trained on both fronts and also introduce special education teachers. So hopefully, yeah, it should look good. But yeah, if they can introduce schemes which would benefit specifically for these, it would be great.
Fantastic. Asha ma'am, what about you? What is that one thing that really needs to change, top of your mind?
I think for right now we have to look at actually 3 areas. One is actually trying to get the family involved to accept and support. Then going out, the community, and then the majority, that is the government. So we have to work actually at 3 levels, what we call the micro, whatever levels. The 3 levels we have to work at. We can work as an individual, as an organization, you can work with parents. Parents become spokespersons, you have to empower them. I always think that empowerment is very important. You empower the parents, you make them move forward positive, empower the community, build the community. Because I know I have worked with the government, I work with all the top firms, and they have a lot of excuses to give why they're not helping the people with disability. I have worked with employment for children with disability, and they're all actually fitted for the job, but then they said cost to company is very high for children with disability. See, this is the answers we get. And then we say CTC is so high, so we have had to fight. And of course, there are certain service industries which have really become positive and helped out. But it is not a losing battle, but I think we have to hit at the right area. Which will work first? First, work with the family, convince the family, convince the community they're living in, and the area they're in. You know, even in your little building, any person can be aware. You have to have this awareness. I know people with disability have had, you know, what do you say, audits, social audits for going into shops. So Shopper Stop has started building ramps for them, because our students used to go there and sit there and say, we want to shop, we want to come out on our own. We don't want, you know, somebody going through the back door. Hotels have started ramps. So it's happening very slowly. In the West, it's very, very forward thinking, like Lalita said. They're very quick to take on these new ideas. But in India, they look at what is the backing, how much money is required. They're looking at so many different things. I'm just talking from experience, but it can be done. We start with one company, like one hotel started taking Sofitel Hotel has taken some students with disability. So you start once, you have to start working, I think, parallel or slowly, but work at every level. Government is providing funds, but I don't know, the funds don't reach. Some of the funds reach them. And then we oversee, for children with disability, they have funds from the government, but you have to go to the local MLA. So we got the parents together. So 5 parents went there and they got that money. You know, so we have to, using our knowledge, we have to inform parents what is available, inform the community, make the community more active. I think it is possible. We have done in, I think in Vidyasagar also, we did in some of the villages we have got to, outside Kodi and all. How the village people themselves have become responsible for the people with disability. They have been raising funds and raising awareness. So I think it has to be a community as a whole. And like you're saying, the attitude is very different, because we always hide all our inadequacies. You know, so we are not very open. As society, we don't open out. You know, we don't share our emotions with people. Only very close people. Even with close people, we don't tell them what we have problems with, we are stressed, we have no stress, whatever. So as a society, we are like that. So it is, you know, professionals who can actually guide them, people who know, and, you know, and accept them for what they are. Because even, I know I've taken a person with disability on a flight, and he's asking me all the information about her. She's on a wheelchair. She can talk. he presumes that because she's in a wheelchair, she's stupid, she's dumb, she can't cook, answer for herself. And she said, I am intelligent, I'm a graduate, I can talk to you. Why are you talking to her? Because I wouldn't, if I said that don't talk to me, talk to her, it's an insult to her because I know her dignity and I know her pride. So it's like that. And she's so I think she's self-sufficient enough to say that I need help me. So whenever we go out and we need help with the wheelchair, somebody's always there. We ask for help. So we have this thing that we should not ask for help from other people.
Yeah.
So we also have our constraints, but I think whoever it is that we have to really educate and empower our people. And I'm saying it's at all three levels.
Yes.
It's more the micro, mezza, macro level. So all three levels you have to work with, at all times. I think that would help.
Yeah,
I
think that's
think it is happening gradually, and I'm not saying that it is happening. But like we walked with the whole disabled group on the road, and the people said, "No, you can't walk; it's very dangerous." So one of the girls said, "Why is it dangerous? Everyone else is walking." So you should give and empower the people with disability as well. Yes. They should be able to speak for themselves, which is what they're doing. I know in small numbers doing. I know some of the people are doing. I'm very happy that they're doing this. So we are very glad to be part of that also. So I think that's all I have to say. I just get very quickly involved in this about empowerment and knowledge sharing and speak out for yourself.
That's exactly the energy that is required from everyone that, yes. We've lost decades of not being inclusive and we need to, get onto that. So, points well taken. We need to be inclusive at all levels and we need to empower at all levels. Enal, what do you think? What's that one thing that needs to change? And I'm sure that is a drive which has made Nestler's Club really happen. So what's the drive? What's that one thing that needs to change?
One thing that needs to change is firstly the government policies, and it should not be only on paper. It can be also something, we see ads on TVs every day. They can also put it out in that form that the entire population can see. I agree that there is some awareness happening, but this will be a great form in which more people would be aware about it and the stigma would be very less. Because I remember when people came to know about me, like being dyscalculic, like people just find out, I had to hear a lot of things. She cannot think for herself. She's mad and everything. So this would be really very helpful if this happens. The second thing is, parents need to be acceptable of their children. Parents need to observe their children very well. Then only early intervention can happen. Observe your child. Go to the professionals. You need to go to a pediatric. You need a special educator, occupational therapist. Please go and get your child checked once. What you are seeing in the child, what the therapist has to tell to you, please don't do those things. It will be really beneficial for your child. Your child would not have to struggle later in his life. He'll also become independent. That is, I guess, everyone, like, be it our relatives, our cousins, our parents, everybody's goal is just that we want to see people becoming independent.
Right.
Ritesh, I have one more point. Yes. For the parents and for the entire society, don't be shameful if you have somebody who is a special child in your family. Remember, your child has not chosen to have the disability that he has. It is given to him. Please respect that, respect the child and work through it, which is very important. That will also keep your child happy. Everybody will be content in the space. Yes.
I mean, this thing which you've said, and most of our derivation of how people are comes from movies, because in your lifetime, you'll see few thousand people, you'll meet, interact with them. Rest, everything is what you've seen visually, right? Yes. And visually, we've been tuned that, as Asha ma'am was saying, if you're on a wheelchair, that means you cannot do anything, you cannot think also. Or for that matter, this where, I don't go around saying, oh, you're a normal girl. Oh, you're a normal girl. Oh, this is a deaf person. You don't categorize them that way. They are people. If you're talking to them, you can facilitate humans as such. So anyways, as I said, it's a long journey. All of us need to start working towards it. change the mindset, change the design of what we do and how we are with each other and around people. I quickly want to go on to this one interesting story which Lalita ma'am had yesterday mentioned to me. Ma'am, if it's possible, if you can share that video and just share that anecdote with us, before I move on to the final bit, which is there. I know we've taken a lot of time. Do you have the video ready? I'll make you the co-host for the same. Would it be possible?
Okay. See, actually, the video I realized was actually about 15 minutes, but I can show parts of it and then.
That'll be wonderful. So I'm just making you a co-host. If that's
okay.
You can share this.
Let me just see.
Are you able to share the video at your end?
Yeah, I can.
You can. Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah.
A very interesting story as to how things are and what we need to look at. Yeah.
Okay, so just to give you a background, this is a video that of a girl called Himani. She's a young girl and she has autism, and they moved from India to the US. So this is about how the therapist, a speech therapist called Kate Ahern, she's an amazing therapist, and the way she's been able to just get the innermost feelings out of the child just through very competent and extremely sensitive questioning and, rather an interaction. It's so beautiful that, I would really urge you to take a look at it whenever you get the time. Her name is Kate Ahern, and she's talking to a girl called Himani. So this is how it starts.
What you like and what you don't like.
I never knew she wanted to.
Dreams are. Hey, Himani, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, you don't have to know at age 11. That's okay.
Yeah. But is it nicely?
Do you know what you want to be?
What do you want to be when you grow up? Yes. Psychiatrist. She told me that only. Remember,
wow.
Remember I told you this once. I don't know if you remember, but I told you, she told me that this was very early when she had just started typing and we were, all excited. She didn't change.
So this is how she started by saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said psychiatrist. And she went on to asking more questions, which said like, how old were you when you knew you wanted to become a psychiatrist? And she said it was at 8 years old. And then she said, how did you know? And she said, why did you want to become a psychiatrist? She said, I want to help people with autism. So she was quite amazed. And she said, how did you even know the word autism? And she said, when have you heard about it? And she said, I've heard about it when I was 4 years old. So I'll just maybe play that bit.
Where were you when you heard Mommy and Daddy talk about you having autism?
You have to try. Try.
Mumbai. You're in Mumbai? Yeah.
When you heard it first. Very, very remember. Sit nice.
So she said she was in Mumbai.
How did you feel when you heard that discussion? You were very little then. Do you remember how you felt? Were you scared or excited or worried or happy or mad? Do you remember how you felt?
And she actually typed saying that she felt SAD, sad.
You can tell me, nobody.
And so then Kate says,
Money, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. I told you this was the question. Were you sad about moving? Were you sad about autism? Or were you sad about both? Why were you sad? Because you were going to move? Because you had autism? Or because of both?
U. T. I.
Because you can finish the word. Go ahead.
Autism. Oh my gosh.
Oh, and Hermione, why would that make you sad?
It's okay, Hinani. It's okay.
Why did it make you feel sad to hear you had autism?
Big deal. Why did it make you feel sad? Put your feet down.
So it goes on until she says, she even says, I'm sorry. So the child says, I'm sorry that I have autism, and which is what really broke her heart for Kate. And
to discuss everything in front of her, man, that's a very wrong thing they did.
Hermione, my sweet love.
Hermione,
are you telling mommy you're sorry that you have autism? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying I'm sorry I have autism?
Y. Yes.
Bonnie, I need you to listen to me very closely. Your autistic brain is beautiful. It is a gift from God. Your autistic brain can do things that other people's brains can't do. You are so incredibly smart and so incredibly talented. And I never, ever, 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 ever want you to feel sorry that you have autism. You are beautiful and your brain is beautiful and your autism is beautiful just like you.
so I'm sorry it took a bit of time, but yeah, it was a pretty, a very emotional,
I was,
I would say.
no, sorry, I heard this from Lalita ma'am yesterday, and I requested her to share this. I mean, this is probably just one of those several, interventions that would have taken place, and what we do at a regular level around our children, which they carry forward, as they go. So, ma'am, sorry, you were saying, please.
Yeah. No, it just shows that they have so much to say, and that's all. It's all deep inside. And you.
If each of you all could tell us, what does the next 2 to 3 years for you all look like for your organization? What's the larger mission? How can people be a part of it? And something that you would like to tell the parents at large around this topic. I know it's an ocean, but something that people can take back. Asha ma'am, we can start with you.
Well, right now I'm not not totally attached to one organization, but I can see that the organizations that I work with are actually moving forward and building awareness and empowering people around. But on my own, what I would like to do is work with the regular schools. I did a lot of work with regular schools where you include children with disability. I mean, that's where we know that we have succeeded. If you see in a school of, say, 20,000, you'll find 2 with disability. And even then the schools are not ready to make adaptations. Like if a child cannot go up the stairs and there's no lift, they're not willing to keep one classroom downstairs, which they can easily do. Like you're talking about real estate accessibility and things like that. And also look at accessibility, which is what I really am working with most of the students and disabled people. Where when you want to walk on the street, you can't walk. You can't walk on the sidewalk. You can't walk on the footpath because there's no place. And the footpath is so bad, you can't even take a wheelchair on that footpath. So we can,
absolutely.
I don't. There's so much, but I think the first thing is empowering people and accessibility. Like if you want to go for a movie, there's no way. If there's no ramp, then how does the child go? There is not even a lift. You can't go up the stairs. Like you said, not just for old people, not just for disabled, but also for youngsters and people with disability. I think accessibility is one very, very key thing that all of us have to look into. They have schools for children with schools for children with disability, but there's no accessibility. We can't blame our roads and all that. But there are possibilities. We have done it in the villages. in Tamil Nadu and all that, and it can be done. I think accessibility is the major problem, and it can be rectified. Like communication, she said, was so difficult, but now with Avaz, we're able to communicate a lot more and understand what their needs are. So I think if we look at these two areas, of inclusive education, having children with disability in regular schools, there should not be any special school, I think, unless it's for very extreme cases. All schools should be inclusive.
Yes.
And adaptation should be made, accessibility should be there. I think that is our biggest goal. I think if we can do that, we have done it. I don't think in my lifetime is going to happen, but maybe in the next life, who knows? But I think this is what accessibility and inclusion is very, very crucial.
I promise you, ma'am,
with your real estate, you can have ideas, how you can, like you're saying, sharing, but they should be there full time. Maybe the child who has disability, has epilepsy, can't sit there the whole day, but let him go for 3 hours. It should be flexible.
Yes.
In the countries in the West, they do these things. I don't know why we can't adapt the good things from them. And it's all there. The plan is there. All we have to do is accept that plan. But we are so, diffident about certain things. No, this won't work. That we always, I've seen most of the reactions I've had are negative. This won't work. This will take away salary from another person. Why? So what? Can you not afford it? You're $1 million company. So just my experience speaking, but I have a lot of these experiences which have made me very strong and I fight for others' rights. But I think we can do it. As a group, and if all the parents and everyone gets together, this can be done.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
We can. I would say yes.
Yes, we can. No, I thoroughly believe that if the local bodies were to tell the developers that whatever asset you create, whether it's a residential building, commercial building, you create a space for special children, you get equal amount of FSI to be loaded, which is a benefit for them. They will go out there and
adaptations to be
create
made
a gym. You can create this. You can
for
create
the wheelchair, for the
absolutely.
for the door, wider
It
than
has to be a
the
must.
standard size. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a must. Also, it's actually a compulsory for them to have a ramp everywhere in the best way possible to be inclusive. Schools have to start doing it. They need to put in the right format, and I think it's a great idea that if every school has a ground floor, you can identify something that can be done. Hire a couple of teachers, get some of your trustees to pay for it. I think a lot can be done, and we are going to work towards it.
We have done it on a small scale. It is possible.
It is.
But
it
it's
is.
a great world if everyone accepts these ideas.
Yes. We'll ensure that they start accepting these ideas.
It's all in your hands now.
Thank you. Lalita ma'am, your thoughts, what's the next 3 years looking like? How big is Awaaz going to be? How big is Awaaz going to be? How can people participate in the cause of Awaaz? Can corporates incorporate that for, I was telling you yesterday that every HR should say that if your child needs it, we're going to participate with Awaaz and take it forward. So tell us, what are your thoughts around that?
Absolutely. So we have seen a good shift over the past few years, especially that the awareness has been definitely growing, and we too believe very strongly in parent empowerment. So it doesn't matter if the government supports them, it doesn't matter if the schools don't support them, or if the educators don't support them, it doesn't matter. But if the parents are convinced, then they can take it forward, and parents can then change the world. And that's what we've been seeing happening in the past few years, which is amazing. And so we've got even the small module within our app that is meant for parent training. So, and we've had so many parents coming up to us and telling us that, look, we are convinced about it, but please convince the special educators, the speech therapists, that, this is going to work. So that is where it is. So if we start at the parent empowerment level, we really feel that it's definitely going to change the rest of it. And we are seeing that happening over the years. And our appeal is definitely even for the corporates. So there are schools that need Awaaz that don't have the funds. So it would be great if the CSR funds can be kept aside for all this and reach out. We're also trying to see if we can do something to bridge that gap, to sort of, build a platform somewhere where those who want to provide and those who want to avail can come together. That is one. And of course, parent empowerment. And of course, we urge all special educators to, basically, it's all about awareness at the end of the day. So once you're aware, then a lot of things can be done. So special educators and speech therapists and, the common man, like everyone, the more awareness we build, the more people get to know. So even people like Better India have started writing about such things, that help people in general build awareness. It need not be the special ed community alone. It needs to come to the common man and to the common public. And schools definitely need to be inclusive, and that's what brings sensitivity to all the children. I mean, it grows a child's, an individual so much more than, you know, just being in their own cocoons. So yeah, I mean, inclusive schools would be a great one. And I hope that it'll all change with the new education policy and all of that coming up.
Yes, yes. And Henal, from, Nestler's Club perspective, I know you all have just started the journey. What is it looking like, and how do we take that forward? Yeah.
So definitely creating more awareness among parents. So what happens sometimes, as Miss Lalita also said, the parents know that their child has a disability, but they are so fearful to go outside with that thing, because then people say, "Log kya kahenge?" That is the thing. So just to change that mentality. And yes, our mission is just to have more and more special kids to whom we can cater, collaborate with professionals to make it more easier to learn more and to grow more. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also, whenever I interact with my panelists, I tell them that, we today, because of the availability of technology around us, even if it is short videos around 3 to 4 minutes about, your work and things like that, is there special topics taken up. So more like video logs, which are there. If that can be put up, people know where to find you. People understand that they can seek help from you. So please do that, so that people know more about Nestler's Club, Avaz, and they can reach out to Asha ma'am also, for the world of experience that she already has, and make collaborate in a way in which it's possible. So once again, I know that we've ran out of time for any Q&A. My request to all the people who are on Facebook as well as with us on Zoom, or will watch it later, please reach out to them. And at Kids OK, please, we're happy to take up these topics and talk to you all about it, and bring similar experiences on our platform. Do write into us, and if there's anything else that our panelists would like to mention, I'm to the audiences at large, just keeping it as an open forum. Is there anything else that you all would like to add to it?
If you would like to reach us, the Nestler's Club, you can check out our page on Facebook and Instagram. And yes, we'll talk with you and we'll make the world a better place.
Fantastic.
And for us, yeah, we too are on Facebook and Instagram. And we also have other apps, which is a reader app, which helps children with dyslexia with independent reading. We have one more called Free Speech, which is featured in a TED Talk, and that helps to build language without, build grammar. So children can learn to speak grammatically correct sentences through pictures.
Wow.
So without any rules and regulations, they learn to, it's an easier way of learning the language. So yeah, we do look forward to building more such apps in the world of disabilities. Yeah.
Right.
And empowering more children.
No, mine, I think you'll have to look on the organizations I'm associated with. They have some of my teaching videos. Umang has some of my teaching videos, and Vidya Sagar has some. I do have some of mine where I'm trying out the Avaz. Okay. But I don't know whether I should put it on or not, but maybe I'll go through and see.
I'll connect with you and we'll,
Yeah. Okay.
Fabulous. I got an opportunity to tell all of you all about Kids OK, please, what it stands for and things like that.
Yes.
Any closing thoughts around that? What was the first thing that came to your mind when you heard Kids OK, please, or anything of that sort?
So yeah, I was wondering what is this all about? But then when I went onto your website and saw, like, it was pretty interesting what you do and how you kind of trying to share what your children are trying to learn with the rest of it. It's great. Yeah, it's very interesting work, and I think in today's context is very much required, because there's so much of information, and that hands-on, you give that hands-on experience of taking children to a place and introducing them. There's so much of online stuff today that this is a very welcome change.
I would say the same. Yeah, I think here, I like the way you have expanded it and made it more inclusive, and you're thinking of adaptations. I think that's a very good thing. So a child can be a child there, and do what everyone else is doing in their own way and have fun. I think always think about having fun. When the children learn having fun, they learn forever. I think that's the best thing. And children are always fun to be with, no matter how much they scream and yell. But we all did that in our childhood. So I think working with children, I become like a child and I have all the energy that they have, which is a good thing. So it's like a symbiotic thing for me too.
When I looked at your website, I was like, you all are doing such fun activities, like co-curricular activities. It's not only about academics,
Right.
which is where, children also find out their interest when they are really young. And then later on, they can also think about, think for themselves, this is what I like. I can also build a career in this. That is what something that really makes me happy. So really good to see something except academics happening.
No, thank you. And I'm looking forward to connecting with Awaz myself to understand how we can, have it on our website so that if someone wants to, any of the members who may have, special children within their family or within their social circles can adapt to it. So I'm taking away that. I'm taking away a lot more from what I knew earlier from this session, and I'm sure the audiences also did. And again, our what we tell everyone is that childhood is a privilege. Will come to you only once. Don't let it go and don't kill it for others. So enjoy yourself, and thank you so much for your time over the weekend. And
thank you. Well done. I think you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Nestless Club and Kids OK, please. All the best.
Thank
and
you.
carry on with the same enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Everyone who's joined in, and you all can see this video later on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube channel. And we hope to keep bringing new episodes to you and more topics like these. So once again, thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Done.